Thank you so much. So I'll be proceeding to the stage and welcoming our esteemed guests and speakers, because I have this great opportunity today to moderate this panel together with, we'll be speaking together with, let me just, all right, yeah, let's give them a round of applause. We have Zuzanna Gawlik here from Poland. That's her, hi. Hermansone from Latvia, hi. Namejs Valters from Latvia. Oana-Maria, Rîcă, and Tandara, Iuliana Tandara, that's the other way around, from Romania, coming from Romania, yeah, because we had this mix of names and surnames. Could you give them a round of applause? Right. All right, we're just after a launch of a huge project you've been a part of, which was Creaton, and I'm really happy to see you here in Poland, because I was wondering what your background is regarding dealing and tackling the misinformation. How did you get involved? Why? And what was the first moment you realized that misinformation, disinformation, malinformation is such a big deal for you? I don't know which one of you is going to start first. Whoever takes the stage. Ella.
Okay, yeah, I will start. Hello, everyone. So it all started 2 years ago when I was invited in this international project, and I really didn't know what will happen. I just came, and in 4 days we talked about media literacy and misinformation, disinformation, and afterwards I needed to go to my school and teach my and other classes about media literacy. And like for me, I believe the favorite thing I would say was the disinformation, propaganda, and fake news and videos, and that was what I was focusing on. Afterwards, I was invited to speak with our former Latvian president in discussion, and my main focus was also about the new generation and how we act when we see disinformation, and can we what are we doing when we see the disinformation? And afterwards, I was invited to join.
So we are from Latvia's Safer Internet Center Youth Panel,
yeah,
where we share ideas and experience with our coordinators to help them make decisions about the problems of the internet and which affect young people and kids.
Yeah, thank you. That's my colleague. So I just forgot the words. And yeah, and this year I'm in 12th grade, and in school I needed to do some kind of project. And well, teaching disinformation is kind of, I would say, my thing in school right now. So I just wrote about it. I went to the 8th graders, talked with them, and then I wrote, the second part was I wrote how could media literacy should be taught in schools, and then yeah, and today I'm here in this panel.
Thank you so much. As you've talked, Namejs, you may continue. What's your background? How did you get involved?
So I have a short story why I got involved in media education. It's actually because when I was younger, I used to believe everything I saw on the internet, and even share the information to my friends and family, because I thought the information was really interesting, and of course the information was fake. But at first I thought, well, it's not harmful. What could it what can be bad about with me? I'm sharing the information with my friends and family. So I shared the information more and more. And when I got older, my friends and family started to like they started to say that the information is not true and that I should check the facts and the sources from where the information is coming. And that's when I got a little bit, like that's when I realized I have to check the information because, well, you can't just share everything you see on the internet. So yeah, and then I recognized how important it is to actually check the facts and how much disinformation is on the internet, and it's really much so.
If I may ask, how often do you see disinformation? Daily, weekly?
I think I see at least two posts on the social media about disinformation a day.
All right, that's a lot.
That's pretty a lot. Sometimes even more. So.
All right. So there's a lot to tackle every single day, and as you've already heard, we have teenagers spending over 5 hours a day on the internet. So it's actually very often to see misinformation, piece of misinformation. All right, we're moving to our Romanian friends. And Iuliana, if you could share your experience.
Yes, hello. Well, my background with disinformation, I think, started a year ago when our English teacher introduced us to this project called Creaton. And we needed to make a video about exactly this topic, disinformation, and how we can stop it. And we participated in an event. This event really opened my eyes about how much we see disinformation online and how we can stop it. And I think now I know a lot better how to tell people to differentiate between real information and disinformation. And yeah, that's kind of it.
Oana, is there anything to add?
We both work on the same project, and that's when we really research about this and find out how harmful it is for everyone, not just for kids. And that's when we realize how big of a deal it is with disinformation. And it's also the moment we learn to make the difference between misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation, which a lot of people didn't know. And actually, I think they don't care, which is wrong, because it has a big impact on us.
Are those your peers or even your parents or perhaps your teachers that don't know that? Do you see people being surprised by this information on a daily basis?
Yeah, I can take the example of my parents, that they every day tell me that don't trust everything that's on the internet, don't do that. But then they also believe in those things. They are tricked because some of this disinformation are so believable.
Mm-hmm. All right. So as you can see, not only the teenagers fall victim to misinformation, but also their parents, even more often. But before we move to older people, older than us, sitting in this panel, I move to Zuzanna to ask you about your background.
Okay, so I've been a scout for most of my life. That's why I'm so involved socially in those projects, and I believe strongly that we can make an impact. At this time, I'm a panel advisor at Safer Internet Poland, and I'm very glad to be here today, as well as being a laureate of Creating 2023 competition, where I had a chance to develop a social campaign against disinformation, and that's why I'm here. I've been on plenty of other projects and campaigns that have been thrown in my city lately, and I'm very glad. I'm very what can I say? I'm very excited to see how much of a change we can make as youth.
All right. Yeah, you can just round of applause. Yeah, because we have so much impact. I'm really happy that you're here. I see a great influence of NASK and many, many other organizations coming to this conference that empower young people with this information, how to work with those. So the question is, how do you do that? Like, do you have your special tools? We had this toolkit before shown on the screen, but do you have your favorite tools to tackle misinformation and disinformation? Or do you do it like by hand every single time? How do you deal with that? Namejs?
Well, you mean how to check the information,
yeah.
if it's real? Well,
if you check that, or perhaps you report misinformation to the administrators, I don't know.
Okay, now, sometimes I report the information if it's harmful for people, but mostly if the information doesn't seem believable, I just scroll down, like, I don't care about the information if it's not harmful, and and if my friends maybe share it, then I just say to them that it's not true or something. But how I check the information if it's true, I usually, well, of course, we all usually check the sources from where's the information coming, and if the sources are even believable. I also try to check if there's any mistakes with grammar, or if there's any random words or sentences that doesn't even make sense.
Or even the creator of the post.
Yeah, because sometimes there's some words that they're just so random that you think, why would they put those words in this article? Like,
do you see that because of hallucinations of AI, or was it even before ChatGPT kicked in?
Of course, the ChatGPT, I think it's more often now when the AI is... but no, I saw the words and the random sentences were also before the AI, because, I don't know, sometimes the people who share the information, they don't care about the grammatic of the information. They just, they try to make the information interesting, and so that more people would believe it.
Right. If you were to give your peer a tip on how to tackle misinformation, what would it be? The first step that they should take in the everyday use of internet. What would it be? Ella, do you have an idea?
Well, the first thing that comes to my mind is just critical thinking. I believe that's the first step whenever we read some kind of article or see some kind of photos. But if we want to do something sometimes with I have this example. Last year, there was in Latvia, there was surfacing around this photo from apparently Lithuania, where there's a tornado happening somewhere near Kaunas, I believe. And the first thing I did, I actually believed it. But then the next thing I did, I just went to Google Picture. I screenshot it, put it in, and the first article was, it is actually from 2010 somewhere in USA. So I just did I fact-checked the photo, and it wasn't true. So I believe the first thing is critical thinking, and then Google Picture or some just fact-checking the article.
I see Zuzanna is coming with some comment on that. Yeah?
Just looked at you, but I have extended social studies in my school. That's why I have begun to take interest in politics, for example. So my fact-checking must be really relevant, since I use this information in debates, for example. And that's where I check Demagog the most. It's a Polish fact-checking organization. And usually when I surround myself with politicians and their sentences, I usually use Demagog, since I find it quite reliable, as well as I try to report any suspicious informations or things that I'm 100% sure are fake. And Demagog has a certain button to press to do so. So yeah, maybe that's...
All right. Oana, any examples?
Well, I think researching is the best thing you can do when you're not sure about an information. And I encourage everyone to do that before they go and spread that information.
All right. Okay, so double checking, right? And Iuliana, any tips?
I think it's really important to see if the source is a reliable source, if it could be trusted. And I think you should probably read more articles about that topic to see if it's true or not, to see which one is true, which one is not. And that's it.
So it's all a matter of experience. As we're talking about experiences, you, Ella, have mentioned that you work on a peer-to-peer basis. And I was wondering if you see much of a difference between 8th graders and 12th graders as your age. And at the same time, how do you work with older people, like your parents, as you have already mentioned that your parents, your teachers, generally do not have that much of deep knowledge in disinformation, misinformation. What is your experience on that?
Ooh, actually,
sorry, tough one.
Yeah, it was one, but well, the difference between 8th graders and 12th graders would be maybe the examples they give, and like because they kind of have different bubbles and where they see the disinformation and how they react on it. And of course, the 12th graders are more mature and they know more about critical thinking, and well, they kind of have some knowledge compared to the 8th graders. And about the parents, well, me and my parents, we usually talk about like what's happening online, and we discuss it. So, well, it's just my experience that my parents are also aware of disinformation, and they know like how to fact check themselves. So they actually taught me first, and then I gave my like what I learned from them, I gave to my peers. So that's my experience.
Actually, I was to add it in within the questions, because what I do is also peer-to-peer knowledge and teaching young people how to deal with peer-to-peer education. So if you need any more resources, we have discovered those with NASK as well. You can find us on Dom Spokojnej Młodości or spokojnamłodość.pl. We have lesson plans for teenagers so that they can run their own lessons. It is obviously in Polish, but I had to have this ad put in within our conversation. Coming back to you, sorry for this little ad I did here, but I was wondering if you have more experiences with some other people. Perhaps you hear people in the street talking about different theories, like conspiracy theories coming. Do you interact in day-to-day situations, like in real life? Do you see a huge impact of those digital-based theories coming into real life? Or is it just working with people that post different stuff online?
Okay.
That wasn't on the list, sorry. Yeah, I know.
No, actually, well, I have seen people, especially older people, sharing some misinformation or disinformation, and usually, from my experience, I can say that not all of adults, but some of adults, if they share the information, they usually think that if they share the information is probably true, because they're adults and they would know if the information is fake, because they're mature and they have a lot of experience of this information. And so, how I deal with that, I usually don't teach them. I don't say them that the information is fake straight away. I usually give them the chance to think by themselves. That, like, give them some questions like, do you know from where the information is coming, or does the information even sounds believable? So I give them the chance to think critically by themselves and maybe figure out by themselves that the information is not true. Because usually when I try to convince them that the information is not true, they usually get offended and they, yeah. So, but with kids I deal with, like, I have taught younger people. I have taught some lessons about disinformation and propaganda and the types and how they're used. But yeah, older people, I think it's important to give them the chance to think critically, because usually, yeah, they think that the information they share is real.
You have a very great point. Like, that's probably my favorite way to, I don't like to tell, especially elder people, that they're wrong, because that might hurt their authority within and make them a little offended. That's why I ask so many questions, just like challenging their view, so that we can compare it and maybe they can like think for themselves. You said a very great thing. I think it's wonderful, and that's my way to correct elder people if I'm sure that they spread fake news, so that they don't get offended and I don't get scolded.
That might be a way for that. What's your experience?
Well, mostly I agree with them. Yeah, I'm also I agree to the fact that you can't really say that they're wrong, because they're not gonna accept it. Yeah, I think they're gonna find out later, because these things are not going to last.
But don't you think, like, I personally believe that we are the first generation that grew up with the internet, and I think we may know it better than the grown-ups. I'm sorry. So that's why us spreading knowledge is so important, and for them it's so important to listen. And I know it's hard to listen to youngers, because, you know, you've been longer on this earth and you know better, but trust me, you don't.
Yeah, I think the key word here is to talk. Just share the information back and forth, and talk about it, and don't get gotten offended, but just like talk friendly and maybe figure out together that the information might not be true.
Yeah, I think figuring out together is the most efficient
I think it's
thing to do.
Your point is so great. Like, this technique, perfect.
But it takes time, trust me. Like, my favorite part of working with like Gen Xers or Gen Yers is mostly teaching them this youngsters language. So it is often hard to realize how the memes are recreated over the internet, so that they don't get this cultural background and they don't see much of a language register back to it. I don't know if you have any specific fake news that you've encountered and are your favorite ones, because I've heard so many great ones, including the tornadoes, but I also know that there is some other one. I'll just continue with perhaps Iuliana. What's your favorite, or perhaps not so favorite, but the funniest fake news that you've encountered?
Well, I don't really know. It doesn't really come to mind right now what the funniest fake news.
The tornado and fire, maybe?
Oh yeah, that one was really funny. And
could you describe it somehow? Would you give us some background to this one? The Titanic, did I hear well? No, what was it?
No, the tornado.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, it was a video that it was on fire. And a lot of people think that it's a funny joke, just that, not a harmful thing.
All right, the Eiffel Tower on fire. Right.
No, but I think that a lot of people also have believed that the Eiffel Tower is actually on fire, because you can check on your phones, you can Google it. I think if you Google the Eiffel Tower, the second or the third most popular search will be the Eiffel Tower on fire. And yeah, I have seen many videos and many posts about the Eiffel Tower burning, but if you think critically, what can possibly burn in the Eiffel? Maybe the restaurant, maybe the elevator, but not the whole Eiffel, because it's from metal. So I don't. You can figure out by yourself that it's not true information.
I believe people got used to things being burnt in Paris, so perhaps that might be the way you were thinking. But yeah, your favorite ones?
I want to participate in this one because I have a funny one. My mother actually told me this, and this story I'm telling to all the classes I'm teaching. So in Latvian, there's this city called Sigulda, which is very beautiful, actually. If you want to visit, let's go. And there was published in some British newspaper that there was a study in Siguldas University that gin and tonic actually is very healthy and everyone should drink gin and tonic. Yeah, why not? Maybe someone in UK thought it was true and actually is now drinking more gin and tonic, but us Latvians immediately knew it is fake or disinformation just because University of Sigulda doesn't exist. Like, we have this city, but there isn't any university around it. So, I don't know if gin and tonic is healthy, but there isn't actually any research done. So yeah, that's like my favorite.
Knowing the impact of alcohol, I believe it isn't, but yeah, that's how I fact-checked this one. Yeah, your favorite ones?
Oh, my favorite one, that was quite funny. I've been on a trip to Scotland and I had very spontaneous photo shoot with like an elderly Scottish guy with a very thick accent. He was ancient. And we were just like talking with my colleagues and we're like, oh, that's so slay. And he was like immediately very intrigued, looked at us and there's no murders here. And like, it's a slang word for something being cool, but in like old English language, it means to someone. So he was like very scared of us. And he was like, what are you talking about? Is it like some kind of secret movement or something? He just like made up a whole story that he heard that people are bringing back like whole as organizations just to do like attacks on people, and we were just talking about how cool his hat is, so that was quite funny.
Okay, so there's misinformation and disinformation coming up in our everyday life. So perhaps you have your favorite as well, besides the Eiffel Tower. Do you have any examples? I'm sorry, I'm just trying to get the best ones so that I can tell them later.
I can't think of any. I don't remember now, sorry.
Yeah, but my question is, have you ever fallen victim to disinformation yourselves, perhaps before the project? Is there anything that you encounter in your daily life, like medical issues, dietary choices, travel decisions, international study choices, anything that had to be debunked?
I think searching symptoms on internet, I have fallen in this trick, but when I was younger, and I just searched everything on Google, and that was my source of information.
How did you feel about the results?
Pretty bad, because I was stage 4 of cancer.
Yeah, most of the times the cancer is the key answer to any sort of that question.
I just searched, I had a line on the nail and I thought, what is that? And then I saw that it's cancer and I was, what? But I just hit my finger. That was all.
All right. So we have a great example of encounters with probably not disinformation, but misinformation. That sometimes helps, but not in this case, I hope. Yeah.
So I've got disinformation, like a thick one. It's about study choices. We've got a platform, like an account in Poland that is strictly for senior high school students, because at the end of your high school we're taking a big matura exam and it's really crucial for our education. So it's mainly based around sharing the news and the new things that came up with the formula of the exam itself, and all the things and little hacks, how you hack the exam and how you pass it. And they made up a whole story, how hard it's going to be. And I was really sorry for this year's graduates, because that might be hard, and they triggered them and scared them through their life. And then they magically came up with a course that is going like you can buy their whole guide how to pass this test. And it came out to be a little bit of a scam because you can find everything on the internet and the exams are hard, but not as hard. And you also don't need their course to just like pass an exam. And so they were making a big money and very confusing and scaring students. That was sad.
Yeah, actually, the title was not passing the Matura exam may kill you, proof-based. So I remember this one. It's actually been happening for at least 3 years now, I believe so.
And they're like generating views and making money off of literally scaring poor students. And I cannot imagine the impact it had on them walking into an exam shaking or something.
So if we have any teachers in this room, I highly encourage you to talk to your high school students and just to go through any sort of fake news that are spread online, especially regarding the Matura exam, because there are so many just to earn money under anxiety just before the exam. So it is quite thick. Yeah, I remember this one. I got so angry at this one. So yeah.
Well, thankfully, I haven't fallen for any disinformation about health choices or diets, but my mom did. She believed some influencers on Facebook that there were some diets that could change your looks just in a few weeks, and she fell for them. And she tried to like be on the diets, and actually ended up. Well, she didn't end up in hospital, but almost, because the doctor said if she would be doing that like more and more, and then she would maybe something bad happen to her. So yeah, I have seen many influencers sharing this information about health choices, especially, and I think I also have seen that some influencers even get paid from organizations. From conspiracy organizations, so they would share some health products and health choices and stuff like that, and get paid to do it, to share this information on purpose. So I think it's pretty sad.
Okay, yeah, I think there was this company selling masks on your teeth so that they could be orthodontically strengthened, but it didn't work. It was spread all over Europe, so perhaps you also have heard about it. But yeah, we can just go to Ella.
Yeah, well, whenever I'm trying to tell my dad some kind of news, well, if I don't know if it's misinformation or not, he usually just asks me contra questions, whenever I tell him, and then he starts asking more, and then I'm like, wait, this, when I'm telling him again, it doesn't sound like something isn't right, and then I go back and fact check, and then I discover that I actually told him a misinformation or some just kind of fake news, and then I'm like, oh, sorry, okay, so actually this is true, and well, it has been a couple of times, and the same with tornado. I remember I shared it on my family's WhatsApp group, and then after 30 seconds I checked the Google picture that was actually from USA, and then I told them, no, this is disinformation, oh, I'm actually expert of it, and I just told you some misinformation, and I kind of felt bad, but I just in caps locks, no, this is disinformation, don't, sorry, something like that.
Yeah, the impulsivity we have is definitely not a part of our generation, but how the world is structured. So I was wondering, what are your perfect influencers? Because you've mentioned some, those dietary influencers. How do you see the role of influencers? Are those only the lifestyle-ish kind of influencers that promote such products, or do you see those quite noble ones, like scientists, that fall victim to those disinformation practices? Do you encounter any sort of it? What's your perfect influencer, model one?
I don't know, because I haven't seen any perfect influencer, because usually I see only bad influencers that share disinformation. I don't know if there even is some good influencers. I'm sorry, I don't know.
Well, I think they are good influencers. I know a few doctors that usually respond to fake information about health and inform people to know how to differentiate fake information about health and so on, and also give some advices about the thing that was talked in the previous video.
All right. So we have doctors. Perhaps I should ask some other question. Do you even follow influencers? Because we had this talk.
Yeah, we had this talk that, honestly, when I saw this question, I was like, maybe I cannot help much because I try to be as unplugged as I can. And I wouldn't say I follow much influencers. So that was quite hard for me. But when I was thinking what an influencer should be, I say responsible. They are very responsible because they have so much impact and influence, of course, on people. And youngsters tend to live in an information bubble and they just don't listen to anything else than their favorite influencers are. And they choose to show us parts of their lives, so we cannot actually see if it's true, if we can live like this as well. As you said, like these coaches and stuff, they just show us what they want us to see. So I would say that a responsible influencer should acknowledge their mistakes and really fastly correct them.
All right. Okay. So we have this model, but perhaps Iuliana has something to add to this one.
I mean, I also don't really follow influencers, especially I don't follow them for advice, only for entertainment. And I think a perfect influencer should usually not lie about something. Like if they're advertising something, they shouldn't lie about it. They shouldn't say it's so good, it's so, I don't know, kind of like that. They shouldn't lie. They should be honest with their audiences.
They make money off of it, though. It's so unfair that they make money off of lying and selling products they haven't even seen on their own eyes. It's so sad and capitalistic.
Yeah, I can add something about the bubbles that you said before. Yeah, I think that's the worst, one of the worst things on social media and on the internet, that it creates these bubbles, like these chambers, or like the information bubbles, where you, like, if you see something, you maybe like the post, you maybe share it to your friends, you maybe comment on the post, maybe you ask your friends and family what they think about it, but the algorithms usually doesn't see it that way. They usually think, oh, you're interested in this post, so we will show you more and more of this. So you create this bubble for you, and you see only one-sided information. So I think it's really important to think if there could be any other information from any other perspectives. And I think it's, yeah, sometimes you can check in incognito mode maybe the information, or maybe on purpose check if there's any other sources from, maybe the information is from other perspectives.
Right. I have some other question, because just before the panel, I had this experience of scrolling through my Instagram feed, and I saw one of the NGO's posts that was actually made up by AI, I could tell. What are the national practices that you see? Because I think that the NGOs are the ones that should be responsible online, posting anything. How do you see the labels of the AI-generated content? Do you see it quite often, or is it something new that will be still encouraged to be done, or just had to be done because of the legal conditions?
I want to talk about this one because when I was making this year's presentation, that was giving to the 8th graders, I was a little bit lazy, and I just went to my good friend ChatGPT, and I asked him to generate me a disinformation example, and it took like 10 seconds, and he made a very good one. It was about some school and some virus in some kind of school. And then I generated 2 more, I think, and I put it in a presentation, and when I was presenting, I asked the students, is it a disinformation example? Why not? And all of them said yes. And then I asked, why? Why do you think like that? And they actually gave a really like good answers to it, because like it was a good text, but like you could easily spot like the disinformation in that. And that's what got me thinking that with the help of AI, for the disinformators, this has become more like easier, because like
definitely faster,
and actually it was like a really good example. So I think we need to we know how to spot the misinformation, but I believe we would need a more, new narrative how to spot it when it has been with the AI, like something like that.
I would ask you about your expectations towards the AI legislation, but it's not the topic of the panel, so perhaps watermarks wouldn't be in question here, but just making sure that it's mentioned here that perhaps one day we'll have watermarking on AI-generated pictures. That's important to know. All right, so regarding the AI-generated content, do you see it often in your countries? I mean, nation-based, it might differ because you might have influencers in your bubbles that talk about the AI issues, but at the same time, there are so many people that are now content creators that do not have this knowledge. So how do you work with that, if you even encounter any AI-generated content?
I firstly encountered ChatGPT a month ago. That was my first time ever using it. And I think I was late to the party, but I was so scared. Like, I was doing a presentation for my biology class, and I was just thinking of a title for my presentation, and it was so accurate, I got scared. And I was like, maybe it's too good. Too good. She will spot that. I haven't wrote it. I will do it myself. But it's very scary. And when I see my colleagues doing whole-ass essays on Polish class with ChatGPT, it's so scary because, like, no one is controlling that. No one is going to spot this. Maybe my teacher, because if a colleague isn't bright enough, she might spot that it's quite a bit of an essay. But it's scary, and there should be legislation around that.
There is going to be some, especially in the European Union, speaking of the AI Act, but it is obviously all about the practices, because you cannot have like the spotlight on every single post online. So I don't know, how about Romania, Iuliana, Oana?
Well, I think AI, it's pretty much encouraging. No one really has an issue with it. But yeah, I see many people using it on homeworks, how my colleagues already said, on different stories, on like animations, or just using its voice to tell stories. It's not something harmful, but some people may use it to transmit fake information, and it's actually pretty hard to differentiate, because AI is so good on this thing. It's almost unidentified.
Yeah, I also think that the artificial intelligence is not only getting better at making articles or making text, but also on making pictures, sounds, and videos. And I think it's getting out of hand really, really fast, and I think it's incredible, but I think it's in really critical situation. I have also seen some deepfakes with politicians of some of my country's leaders, and some malinformation or deepfakes where they share something about when it was COVID, about the COVID-19 vaccines, and about the war and stuff like that. And yeah, and even I can't even sometimes see the difference if it's real or not. It's like, what do I believe now? Like, it's so real, so you can get confused and maybe even believe it. So yeah, I think we should slow it down a bit. We are taking some steps. We are making laws, I know, in the European Union, but yeah, I think we should a bit slow it down.
Would you say that you're scared of the influence of AI and how it is spread all around the internet, or are you getting used to it?
Well, I don't think that artificial intelligence is scary, but the thing that is scary is that people believe like the artificial intelligence can manipulate with people, and they believe the stuff, and that's scary. I think the artificial
it depends how it is used.
Yeah, I think artificial intelligence. I sometimes use it. It's like
I use it every day, so no worries. I'm not judging anyone.
Yeah, but I think it's really important to know that that there's a lot of information that is not true.
Right, because my question is actually because we're talking about general issues, but once we think about peer-to-peer relations, do you see anyone using it at schools? Like, once you talk to your friends, I mean, some animations might sound cool, but at the same time, like the peer violence and the amount of information and messages you share might influence you, not only in the regards of violence, but also the amount of information you're reading through. So my question is, if you've ever been on a online digital detox already, do you do that? Do you see your friends getting some detox from the social media?
Okay, so I've been on a In Safe in Hope training meeting lately, like last month, and we were talking to adults about our experiences. And I've got a question: what do you do to stay unimpacted, maybe, by the internet? And it's so overwhelming for me. I get very overstimulated very easily. So I did a funny thing, but it makes sense. Okay, trust me. I have put like a parents control, that mode on your phone that parents use on their children, and I made myself only like 2 hours on Instagram because I work from an account for Instagram, so I needed more time. But I've got this 2 hours of Instagram, and it shuts out completely. I have no more access to it, and I do it to most of the apps I see myself using the most.
Yeah, well, for me, the detox is whenever there's something like major happening, whenever it's in our country or worldwide. I know there's like a lot of information flowing in the social media, mostly like right now on TikTok and Instagram, and that's why I try to like shut that information out, because I know there will be a lot of disinformation, and I just try to stay in like our governmental news, like where they fact check everything. So I just read those, and I try to like, I want to like go relax myself after school, but all I see is about one like event happening or something like that, and that like my mind just can't shut off because of it. And about the parents control, well, I have kind of TikTok addiction. So at first, like, I also had the parents control, but I knew the password. So whenever oh yeah, your time's up, like I just put the password in, and I just continue scrolling. So what I did, I gave like my father put in the password, and I have like a limit for the day, and he knows the password. And once I tried to like, please, please let me in. It was like, okay, but it was the only time, and now I can like manage it like better. And, yeah.
You've said a very interesting thing that it like calms you down, or like it is kind of a reward to go on social media.
Well, I don't have. Yeah, that's true. I don't have it for the weekends. So on weekends, it's a like reward. On the week and on like work days, time limit, and yeah.
It's so interesting because firstly, I hear people talking about social media as something that they can decompress and just like reward themselves for a hard, long day. And don't you like, it's a question for you, if I can ask questions. Of course. Don't you get like irritated or like overstimulated over time when you're like a whole day spent on your phone? Don't you like go up and like, the lights are too bright, everything is too loud, my phone is just like so hot in my hands. Don't you experience it? It's very...
Yeah, I will. The thing I do, I just turn it off and go do something, not outside, but like read a book. Like I just like shut off completely and put it somewhere. And
you're very responsible then.
Well, I try to. For you guys?
Well, I sometimes feel so tired of it. And I just need to put it down and go somewhere. It made me tired, like I work all day. And I don't know how this function, but yeah, I feel tired of it.
Yeah,
at some point.
I have also experienced like when I'm getting like scrolling through the internet sometimes feels like you're working. You're working all day long, and you're just and at the end of the day, you're just so, like, you're so sleepy and you just want to shut everything down.
Even though
like,
you didn't do anything.
Yeah. You just feel overwhelmed, and yeah, it's not the best experience.
But at the same time, you're trained to fact-check everything after all those trainings you had with Creaton or other organizations. So I think you're somehow working. And coming back to our main topic, I was wondering if you have any specific plans after the Creaton, after this conference, that you're going to have, like any sort of campaigns, or is it just one-time only event in your life and you feel like you're experts in the field, or do you have any, I don't know, goals in the field that you're going to somehow reach in the upcoming years? I'm not speaking this 2024, but perhaps you have some plans regarding your academic journey. I don't know, just asking. Yeah?
Well, if I ever have the opportunity, I will take it because I like to engage myself in different activities, and this kind of activity really helped me, and it's so interesting.
Right. Zuzanna?
So I've been lucky enough to already take a part in some of the events that were happening. I also engage locally, for example, in my school or in the local library. I am always very happy to help, and I really wish that my knowledge will be used one day. Not sure how, not sure when, but I like to engage a lot. So like, the whole Creaton thing, that was one of the most beautiful experiences I had last year. It was so good. I met so many cool people and learned so much. So, of course, I would like to continue working that path.
Iuliana?
Well, I think it's the same as Oana. If I were to given the opportunity again, I will continue this way because I think it's really useful. It's actually really useful, and it's fun.
All right. So we have put in here. It is fun. It is cool. Please make some programs for the youth. All right, Namejs.
Okay. Well, I'm already teaching and other youngsters about the safety on the internet. I don't know what I will do in the future, but I think I will definitely continue to teach and educate other people if I can, because I think it's really important for us to teach each other. It's the best way how we can learn.
Ella?
So in September I will start university, but I will study completely different from whatever I would say this is. but I will be waiting a phone call from Anita, and I will fly everywhere to the end of the world if I will have this opportunity to speak again or to teach someone about it. I'll be waiting. But yeah, I will start doing something else, but I will not forget about this information and everything around it.
We have some bold answers to this one, so keep them in your minds. We have still 5 minutes left, so I have my one last question to all of you, and perhaps we have some questions from the audience. Would you raise your hand if you have one, so that I know? Okay, not yet, but we'll come back to you. I have a question regarding the media literacy education in your countries. Do you see that there is a need for some extracurricular subject that the students could take, or perhaps it should be integrated into like course in every single subject, and how could that be done? What's your dream media literacy program in your schools? Or perhaps this non-formal education suits just fine that you've encountered?
Yeah, I think I will start because I actually wrote a project about it, and like the two things that I like kind of talked there about most was first, it would be peer-to-peer education. It will maybe happen in a classroom, but teacher will be maybe outside. It will be only like peers around it.
That's what we do in our House of Com youth. I highly encourage you. Okay, go on.
And the second thing, it would, like, there is some theory about media literacy, but it's more practical. So students would, I don't know, make some presentations and present each other, find because media literacy is so, like, there's a lot of like things you can talk about. So you can find a field where you're most interested in and make a presentation about it, or some other activity, and then teach each other about it. So that would be how I imagine how we could teach media literacy.
Thank you so much. Namejs?
Yeah, I think it would be really, really important to, if there would be any classes in schools, any lessons about just the media education, and I think especially it would be really important to these classes making, like, maybe in kindergartens when we're young, like where the kids are just learning, and I think we should start from there and teach them already about the internet safety, because yeah, it's a global problem, and we should yeah, teach them.
Iuliana?
Well, in Romania we don't really have we don't really talk about media literacy, but I think it will be like really important to do so. But I think it would be more useful if it wasn't a teacher, like just peer-to-peer, like we'll talk together, because if it were a teacher, it would feel like an obligation. Yeah. So I think it would be more useful just to students talking, for example, to each other.
Definitely more trustworthy this way, because you see other people doing the same thing your age. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. Zuzanna?
Okay, so as Ella said, project-based learning is crucial for me. When I work with my scouts, it's usually based like this because it pushes children to think for themselves, which is very important these days, as well as, I think, for example, like for me, when I was thinking about what would be helpful, is, for example, creating responsible media content. Because everyone today wants to be an influencer, and teaching people being responsible for what they put in the internet is very helpful. Or like digital footprint. I haven't heard about it in my school because in Polish scholar system there's no much space or like just space for us to talk about it, and ICT lessons should be including those topics because they're crucial these days.
So more of an ethical approach, not only the hardware and software that you have in your computers.
Yeah, right. Because like we learn coding, and no one told us how to put up more security settings on our Facebook page. So let's start from the basics.
All right. And Oana, your final speech.
Well, I also think that it's very important to have this subject in school, because internet is our future, and we need to learn from a very early age how to use it correctly, and how we can make our life easier. From like Namejs said, they need to learn from a very early age to use it correctly, not be dependent.
So the students are the ones who are going to teach their colleagues, their peers in the field. I believe so. Thank you very much. We had Ella, Namejs, Iuliana, Zuzanna, and Oana, and it was Zuzanna who was moderating this panel. Thank you so much.